David Jackson, I know in your business, and what's going on has to hurt your heart for these young people. People in my neighborhood, young men and women that are getting their high school diploma, but they'll do it virtually if they get to do that, and their proms all canceled. Wow, this COVID-19 has really affected our young people.
Robert, it really has, and as you mentioned, I don't know if people understand. You had mentioned, the professional levels and the collegiate level. I think we have probably more at the high school level across the country, more people impacted just by virtue of the number of students that participate in high school activities, and to for them to lose. For instance, we lost our state basketball tournament for those students in classes 2A through 6A. We're losing all of our spring activities and the championships that go with them, and it is. I mean, as you mentioned, it is painful to see students not have the opportunity to participate, in the championship series, which for a lot of those kids is a once in a lifetime scenario. For the seniors, who this is their last go around, not to have that senior memory, 20 and 30 years, down the road is painful, and it's why we tried to hold on as long as we could. Initially we were just in a postponement phase, thinking that this thing will eventually allow us to have those activities, but unfortunately it didn't. And so, yes, you're right. It's a painful situation to be in.
Yeah, and this is a sports show, but we need to mention, band contest, drama contest, academic contests. There's a lot that falls under the guidelines or the management with the Oklahoma Secondary Schools Activities Association, and with the sports and all of those other activities. I'm a big believer, and I wasn't the greatest student. I mean, I was one that believed if you got a B, that was pretty good. I liked the B's. Uh, but I know the thing that really kept me interested and involved in school was the extracurricular activities, and not just sports. I did mainly sports, football, baseball, but my senior year, I got involved in the school musical. Drama teacher talked me into it, and ended up having a blast. And so, yeah, I mean, these are all activities that um, they're part of the education process, and I think a big part.
You're absolutely right, Robert. I would tell you that we have as many students participate in non-athletic activities as we do the athletic activities. And you're exactly right. For a great majority of students, that other part of education is what keeps them motivated in the classroom. And we absolutely believe that, and we take as much pride in our music, our speech and debate, and our other non-athletic activities as we do the athletic ones. And we have lost a lot of those activities as well. Some of the music contests this time of the year, they are prevalent across our state. And we lost our speech and debate tournament, which is huge. So yes, you're exactly right. This is impacting a lot more than those students who participate in athletics, and so that's what adds to the pain for us.
David Jackson from the Oklahoma Secondary Schools Activities Association with us, and has a great staff. I know Mike Whaley really well, and David Glover. And again, the more you can heap on the responsibility of that media relations director you have, Van Shea Ivan. Just keep him working all the time. He
Well,
needs.
it's hard, Robert. We can't find him most of the time. The the 3 hour lunch breaks is getting old, but no, that we do have an outstanding staff, and Van Shea, when he came on board, just strengthened that, and the thing that I like most of all is that they're so committed to secondary level activities. Uh, you know, you can teach people to do the jobs you need them to do. You can't make them love their jobs like these guys do and our staff, and they love providing those activities that we do for our kids. So that's what makes the staff here very special.
Well, and yeah, Van Shea, when he and I worked together at Channel 4 and he came on board as an intern, and yeah, he's a product of that. At Pond Creek, he played every
Yeah,
sport Pond Creek offered, so and won a state championship as a quarterback in football. So,
right.
yeah, he's a he's experienced what he's helping to offer these young people that come through the OSSAA. My
Absolutely.
guess is you've been in contact with a lot of the other associations around the country. That there's a lot of talk going on, a lot of sharing of ideas. Where are we with trying? And I know we don't know what this virus is going to do necessarily, but we are starting to see our government officials kind of want to try and open things up again. Where can you tell me that athletics and activities are, and what you're, I guess, hopeful or at least planning, if it's possible, to get it started with maybe the next school year?
Well, we just finished a summit yesterday with all 51 state associations on a Zoom meeting just to talk about that very thing of how we're all planning to go forward. And it's a little different in each state. Each state has been impacted differently. But as of yesterday, about 39 of the 51 state associations had canceled all their spring activities. So now we're looking to how do we salvage a summer and hopefully be prepared to go into a fall season. And as you mentioned, it's so up in the air right now as to what this thing is going to look like in a month or so. We're optimistic. We're going to remain optimistic, and what the governor, apparently they're seeing some data that is positive. So again, without knowing exactly what it's going to look like, our staff is now planning on particular dates in which to allow people to come back together for training and conditioning for the summer. Now we're looking at different times of the summer when we get the okay. We don't know that if that would be the middle of May, the 1st of June, the middle of June. But we're looking at all of those different dates to have a plan ready so that when we get the okay to bring people back together, we can get that information out and people can start doing what they need to do to do their summer activities and get ready for the fall. Of course, we have to consider worst case scenario that this thing lingers on and maybe we're not allowed to start school, in August and in the 1st of September like we have been. And with that being the case, again, we're still looking at plans to possibly, if it's only a delay into the fall, we're still going to have a plan ready to go for getting our fall activities in. If that means postponing some of those championships that we have early in the fall, like cheer and fast pitch softball, those activities that occur early, looking at different dates to move them so that we can still get them in. And of course, football, the fortunate thing is that the championships aren't until December. The downside to that is that may mean we have to cut the regular season down some from the regular 10 game schedules that we're used to. So we're trying to look at every possible scenario that we can so that we can be prepared whenever we get the okay to bring people back together.
Yeah, and there's a natural there, and kind of we hear this with college football. Maybe they play conference schedules only. Well, maybe high schools play district schedules only, something
Right.
along those lines. So,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot. There's some options there. Here's another thing too, and I saw where ticket prices for championship events with the OSSAA have been raised, and we don't know again with this, but yeah, I'm if I'm not on the road with Oklahoma State, I'm at a high school game or two every
Yeah.
week. And I would encourage folks out there, if we get to that point, to feel comfortable, because this is something I wanted to get into with you that has nothing to do with the COVID-19, other than you know will people be comfortable sitting in the stands in groups,
Right.
and how soon will that happen? But there are some schools in the state, and I'm not just talking football. I'm talking their basketball, their other sports, that their attendance is really good. And there are some that I'll go to, and I'm like, boy, there should be more people here watching these kids. This is
Yeah.
good. This is good stuff. And
Yeah.
and so I was going to give you a chance to implore on people that, hey, these high school kids, especially when we come back from this, anytime you can go to a high school event and support these kids, uh, it's a good couple of hours spent.
It really is, Robert, and it I think it's what makes our activities a little different than the other levels. Uh, is we don't put just the elite people out on the field or on the court. Uh, you're supporting uh, those students that are participating uh, for those reasons we talked about earlier. Uh, they see the benefit of participating in football, for instance, because they're learning so much more than just how to play football. There's so much to gain, and that's why they participate at the high school level. They don't have to come in with a set of measurables or a 40 time or a particular uh, way to dunk or whatever the case might be. They're doing it because they gain the benefits of learning how to be a team guy. They learn the discipline it takes to prepare for contests. So that's why we want people to come out and support them. And you had mentioned, yes, we are going to increase a ticket price, and I'll tell you, we haven't done it in a while,
No,
and
they're still cheap.
they're,
It's the
they
best
they
show
are.
in town for the price.
We have and probably still have the cheapest ticket in the country. Uh, and our initial conversations when we started talking about this a couple of years ago of increasing ticket prices was much more higher than what we settled on. And the deciding factor of us backing off that higher price was the fact that we are involved in the middle of a pandemic, and we know that our economy is going to be depressed,
Yeah.
and we don't want to do something and create a ticket price that's going to discourage people from coming. So, yes, we did increase it. It's a nominal increase, and we think it's for the value. It's still well worth the money.
Yeah. I know this that high school athletics I think does a lot for a lot of kids, and I know people's attentions are split among a lot of different entertainment options, but I always endorse people supporting high school athletics because it's really important, really important.
It is. It is, Robert, and again, we have people participating that when they finish high school, that's it for them. They 98% of them are done at that point in competitive, organized activities. So that that's why it's important. They're doing something that they're going to be finished with in a short period of time, and that's why we absolutely encourage people whenever you can to go out and support these young men and women.
Yeah. Again, David Jackson, I appreciate your time and thank Van Shea for us and also best of luck to you and your staff navigating what you're going through right now. And you mentioned being optimistic. That's what I am, and hopefully that when we get to the fall, we're going to run into each other at some of these high school events.
Well, I sure hope so, Robert, and thank you for having us on and allowing us to help promote our message.
Well, appreciate it. Appreciate the job you and your staff are doing. Tell my old buddy Mike Whaley too. Hello.
I will do so.
All right, David Jackson, Executive Director of the Oklahoma Secondary Schools Activities Association, and